Knowledge. What is the knowledge required to successfully support students with disabilities on their road to success? In addition to shifting mindsets, building knowledge among teachers, administrators, caregivers, and all other parties is essential to building effective student success systems for all. In order to build knowledge, we must ensure transparency, pragmatic pre-service preparation, targeted professional development, clarity and flexibility, a focus on students, and student and caregiver education. Transparency.
In my experience, the biggest challenge with keeping students with disabilities on track to graduate is transparency. One of the things that I believe our students and our parents have barriers to is understanding where they are and where they're trying to go. So we have to be able to teach our parents how to be advocates for their students, as well as teach our students how to be advocates for themselves.
Pragmatic pre-service preparation.
Teachers are asked to do a lot of things with very little, and so I just want to acknowledge that. I think it starts all the way in teacher preparation programs. I think teachers, and that includes myself, I remember walking into a classroom and thinking, where are the kids that I learned how to teach? Because they don't actually exist. There is far more complexity and diversity in our classrooms than we're prepared for. And so I think one, in teacher preparation programs, acknowledging that every student is diverse in some way. Learner variance is real, and that's what we should be preparing teachers to think about, not just about students with disabilities. That would also start a mindset shift. I think that really needs to happen for educators. Much of our teacher preparation and support reinforces this idea that someone else is coming to save students with disabilities when we know that's not true.
Targeted professional development.
Supporting teachers is providing them the constant education and the training. It's just as any job that we're in. We have to have continuing education or continuous training in order for you to be better. And so, given the circumstances that we're in with students with disabilities, where we have varying learning disabilities, which means that we have to teach our teachers how to teach different types of students. The great thing about it is, even though it's like, hey, my goodness, I'm in training constantly, but you have the opportunity in this toolbox to, number one, identify students that you may see that may need the additional assistance, but it also enhances their toolbox and help them teach and be better teachers. I always say students with disability teachers are the most important teachers because they learn a specific trade on how to teach our different but wonderful students.
We can best support them by not changing the initiative every year. That allows them space to try it out, see what works, fail forward, not feel as though they are detrimentally limiting their students if they don't do XYZ within a certain period of time. Support their risk taking and have it be within environments that are trusting. So yes, have job embedded professional development. And then if you see that there are gaps in my delivery, my skill acquisition, support me. How can I go the same way we say for students and now have a very specific professional development experience to bridge that gap where my deficiency is. And again, to look at deficiencies not as failures within themselves, but opportunities to learn. And I think when we cultivate that particular culture and environment, it's beneficial for our practitioners, it is beneficial for our students, and it is beneficial for our parents.
Clarity and flexibility.
The piece that sometimes we're missing at that high school level is clear communication with the teachers, researchers or administrators talking to the teachers about what's needed to really engage students and what differences might be between, for instance, like a content teacher, like the student science teacher, the student's special education teacher, and the student's study hall teacher. How do all of those teachers provide supports to these students? In what ways?
I think we can best support teachers by, one, having teachers be developed or trained on how to deliver the supports. It does not come down to a will thing. And I know we look at a lot of it as skill, will, or clarity, but in most cases it's the skill and the clarity. You know, I can take a 2-hour PD session and learn how to modify an assignment for a math lesson, but it doesn't always translate perfectly. I think teachers can be more supported with the clarity for the skill, because I think it is a skill, to raise the level of access that certain students need.
A focus on students.
From my experience, the biggest challenge is having teachers that are willing to give you accommodations and that are willing to understand the accommodations you need. Because I know in my experience, maybe teachers don't know that you have accommodations, or they know that you have them, but they may not know what your accommodations are. Even if they do know what they are, they're not necessarily willing to give you them. So just having a teacher that you can communicate with and being on the same page and saying, hey, this is what I need and these are my accommodations.
Student and caregiver education.
One of the things that stood out to me so far is really the concept of how we are preparing young people to be advocates for themselves, and how to identify their own learning needs, how to be able to ask for what they need, not only with individual teachers, but at the school and within the district level, and preparing them for their future. So as they're getting ready to go into, whether it's post-secondary education, careers, being able to recognize their strengths, the talents that they each have, but also then how can they advocate for themselves when they know that they may need a particular support to be successful. So how do we equip them to do that? How do we support you? How do we support educators to support you in doing that too?
I think one of the biggest things is our students don't necessarily know or have been equipped with the knowledge that they need to know where they currently are and where they're trying to go. For so long, parents have just been provided this information and not taught how to be advocates for their children, or their children to be taught how to be advocates for themselves.
Bridging that gap, I think, is very important, not only for students, but also for their parents, because I think parents have even less information and working knowledge in that space.
Once we have shifted mindsets and built relevant knowledge, we're ready to examine how to build an effective system. Follow the conversation and learn more about the Grad Partnership at gradpartnership.org.